The government has suffered a series of defeats in the House of Lords tonight over its controversial welfare reforms. Planned restrictions on the employment and support allowance affecting cancer patients and the disabled were overturned by peers considering the government's welfare reform bill. One of the amendments on which the government was defeated came from the independent crossbencher Baroness Meacher, who can join us now from Westminster. Thanks very much indeed for taking the time to talk to us. So what is the significance, do you think, of these three defeats that you've inflicted on the government on this?
I think they're very significant because of the size of the majorities, which tended to be 46 up to nearly 60. And those sorts of defeats are unusual in the House of Lords, partly because the government, the Conservative Party, along with the Liberal Democrats, have a pretty sizable number of peers, certainly outnumbering the opposition by a considerable proportion. Therefore, these votes do depend upon the crossbenchers, who are individuals. You never know how we're going to vote. So to get a really solid crossbench vote for three different amendments during the day was phenomenal, and I hope the House of Commons will take this very seriously.
OK, this bill is quite complicated, but I mean, it obviously affects real people in very significant ways. Just give us an idea on your amendment in particular. Put that into plain English for us, why you thought that was important.
OK. Young people who have congenital disorders or very serious disabilities, enabling them to qualify for what is called a support group, in other words, benefits for very severely disabled people. These young people until now have been entitled to benefits so that they have some dignity. And so if they live with their parents or indeed a partner, if they're lucky enough to find one, they are not a burden to those people. The government is removing those benefits as of right and forcing people to claim benefits all the time, go for interviews, go for assessments. It's really tough stuff, and we felt this was unreasonable, and our colleagues agreed with us very strongly.
But the government say this is part of a huge restructuring of the welfare state, effectively, that simply has to be done, that it's all in a mess, it needs to be restructured.
Yeah. I very much, as a crossbencher, I and many of my colleagues very strongly support some reform to the welfare reform system. We do need to reduce the number of people depending on benefits for many years. What we're talking about here, though, is a very small number of people. The total cost to the entire taxpaying community of Britain will be £10 million for this particular amendment. It is tiny, tiny beer, sort of a margin of error, if you like. And the other amendments, too, are very, very specific. Until now, people have been entitled to the employment support allowance as an entitlement if they're too sick to work on an ongoing, indefinite basis. The government is cutting that right back to a 12-month period. One of the amendments was arguing that this should be a 24-month period to enable people, give people time to adjust to the fact that they're permanently disabled and maybe need to move house, maybe change completely their lifestyles and adapt to their disabilities. So that was the second amendment. The third one had to do with very severely ill cancer patients. The government is saying if you're going to die within 6 months, you can have your benefits as of right. If you're going to last a little longer than that, then you have got to go for interviews, you've got to apply for jobs. But if you think about it, what employer is going to take on somebody with terminal cancer? Yes, they may live 9 months, they might even live a year, but they are becoming progressively sick, they have a lot of symptoms, they have a lot of unpleasant treatment. We believe they should be entitled to benefit without disturbance, so they can get on with adjusting to dying and adjusting their family circumstances for those who are going to be left behind. OK, so you've had your three victories tonight, but of course this is the House of Lords, not the House of Commons, so the government can simply go back to the Commons and get this overturned, can't it? I mean, it may not be a victory that lasts very long. Well, I think this is the importance of the size of the majorities, because the House of Commons doesn't often get bills coming back from the House of Lords with solid majorities in favour of amendments. So I think the pressure on the House of Commons will be considerable. The other thing is that although I think there is general support for a reform of the welfare system, if you look at these particular amendments, they are very, very specific, and they are relating to some pretty tragic circumstances where most normal, caring people would say that the rest of us, the able-bodied of this country, should really be willing to pay very small sums of money to enable these people to have some dignity in their lives.
Baroness Meacher, good to talk to you. Thank you very much.
Thank you.